Happy Friday as we conclude the 5 most important things that we need in our lives as we move forward into this new chapter of life without the stay-at-home order. A quick recap of where we've been this week, right? Monday, we talked about the not losing the blessings that God has given us. Tuesday, we talked about needing to be anchored so that we don't lose those blessings. Wednesday, we talked about one of the things that would threaten us with those blessings, which is the influence of disappointment. And then yesterday, we talked about prayer and knowing what to talk to God about by paying attention to our emotions. Today, I want to encourage us to consider a new spiritual exercise that I have found really helpful in my life and that I think is going to be really helpful in yours if we just take an extra 10 minutes at some point over the weekend. And that is reviewing the week to talk about where we've been, where have the blessings, what are the struggles, and what we need to do to go forward. Let me say that again. A couple years ago, I began to every Sunday night, as I was entering into the week, I would carve out a little extra time on Sunday night and I would answer 4 questions. Number 1, where was I that week? How was the week, right? Number 2, what were the blessings of the week? Number 3, what were the struggles of the week? And number 4, what did I just need to pay attention to as I moved into a new week? It sounds like a little a small exercise, but it has a huge influence in our life, especially when it comes to self-awareness and especially as we need something to hold on to. Remember on Tuesday, we talked about needing an anchor. Well, this little spiritual exercise can be a big anchor for us. And it's real simple. You take some time of the week, and I like Sunday night. I think most of us, our lives are a little slower on Sunday. It also kind of focuses as we go into Monday. And what you would do is you would take 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, carve out a space where it's really quiet. Maybe you jot these things down. Maybe you put them in your phone. Maybe you share them in conversation, and you answer 4 questions. Look back on the previous 7 days and ask yourself, generally speaking, how did things go? You just begin to refamiliarize yourself with the happenings of the previous 7 days. Ask yourself, just generally speaking, how did things go? And that what that does is that begins to get us in the mindset of reflecting and self-awareness. We're going to take it a little bit deeper in the next 2 questions. What were the major blessings of the previous 7 days? I would encourage you to take your time with this one and maybe to write them down again or to put them in your phone somewhere. What were the things that went well that you were expecting? What were some of the surprise graces that you didn't expect? What were some of the answered prayers, whether they be small things or big things? What were some of the things that you just continue to take for granted that are blessings? It's important for us to look back on our lives on a regular basis to remind ourselves that God is moving in our life and blessings are there. And even if we're still waiting for God to answer prayers, or even if we're still struggling, if God's presence is getting us through that, or if we're having the strength to endure or the patience to wait, like those can be blessings, right? So sometimes the blessings in our life can be really, really overt and really, really clear. And sometimes those blessings can be hidden. So give you a practical example. Last couple of weeks, as I have done this exercise on Sunday night, one of the things that I'm noticing is that there's a gratitude in my heart and just for just a greater sense of balance and a greater rediscovery of you might say the art of living, of exercise and diet and prayer and relationships and time to think and time to prepare. And there's been a better balance in my life between work and prayer. It's been a surprise gift of COVID-19. And so as I have been in these conversations with God on Sunday night, looking back on the previous 7 days, I've been able to name that part of the blessing is a greater sense of balance and a rediscovery of how to live. And I've been really specific with those blessings because God's generosity is very specific. And so our gratitude needs to be very specific. I've talked a little bit about not feeling so stressed. I've talked a little bit with the Lord about just the joy of being back in a regular routine of exercise and diet and cooking for myself and things like that, things that I know are healthy for me. And so I've been very attentive to those things on Sunday night. Next question that I then ask is, what were some of the challenges of the week? And just like the blessings have to be very specific when we're in this spiritual exercise, we have to be very specific with the challenges, not only that we have felt externally, but the challenges that we have experienced internally. And let me give you another example of that. So I talked to you about just now about the blessings that I've experienced, right? A sense of balance. And part of the struggle that I was recognizing last week was with just unmet expectations that I had of myself. And it was because it seems like COVID-19 changes a whole lot, right? It just seems like not only do I, just like so many of you, want to get back to the way that life was, but it just seems like whether it be the new rhythm of life without the stay-at-home order, or whether it be with not knowing how to plan for the future, I've been struggling with my expectations of myself. And so I not only was able to recognize the challenges of some practical circumstances, but I went deeper. And I was able to name that, the reason I'm struggling there is because I'm struggling with me. I'm expecting life to be easier. I'm expecting me to live or act in a certain way. So the third question that in the spiritual exercise you do once a week is you ask yourself, where am I struggling? Again, question 1, how was the week generally? Question 2, what were the blessings? Question 3, what are the struggles? And that sets us up for question 4, which is, what do I need to be on guard with as I go into this next week? So for example, this past week, I was looking back on my life and I said, well, the blessings have been about the sense of balance and the struggles have been about the expectations. So what I chose to do is say, okay, what do I need to do to keep myself grounded this week? And so I spent some time on Sunday night just saying, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, before I go to bed every night, I'm going to make sure I ask myself 2 questions. How do I deal with expectations today? And did I do the things that I've been wanting to do, like exercise and diet and pray and have a sense of balance? It can seem overly simple, but it's really, really important. And so this week, what I'm doing every day is I'm asking myself 2 questions that I chose to ask myself because of what happened as I was reflecting on that Sunday night spiritual exercise. 4 questions that you might ask yourself sometime over this weekend and maybe over the next couple weekends. Again, number 1, generally speaking, how were the previous 7 days? Number 2, what were the blessings that were there? Number 3, what were the struggles that were there? And number 4, what are some of the things you need to do as you look at the next 7 days? Taking 15 minutes over the weekend and asking yourself those 4 questions can really be life-changing. And it can help us stay grounded. And I think we're all going to need that as we go forward into life without the stay-at-home order that's there. Hoping that this week has been helpful for you as we've talked about the 5 most important things that are going to ground us. Enjoy the weekend. Continue to let God lead you. I pray that you are experiencing with you in His life right now. And until we see each other again next week, God bless you.